Let's start with the Nestle news. What is it about your state that drew them from California to Virginia?
Well, listen, this is something we've been working on for about a year. This was a major, really is a great success for Virginia. As you know, we're very low tax state, very business friendly state. I think Nestle USA, you wanted to be closer to their customers. As you know, Mars is headquartered in the Commonwealth of Virginia. But I was out there several weeks ago meeting with the CEO, and I said, put all of it together. Why is it that you're moving to Virginia? And if he said I had to pick one thing, he said it's your education system. Virginia always has one of the best K through 12 systems in the country, great higher education system. Every parent wants their child to have a great education. So it's our education, pro-business, low taxes, international airport, deepest port on the East Coast for people who do trade, do export, import. So I think we had all the assets coming together for Nestle. It's a great move for us. It's about 750 jobs. They'll move into Arlington, Virginia. It's an exciting time, and it helps Virginia diversify our economy. As you know, we're the #1 recipient of Department of Defense dollars, the Pentagon, CIA, largest naval base in the world, 27 military installations. This allows us to broaden into other sectors that we've continuously worked on, what I call building that new Virginia economy.
Governor, having grown up through that Virginia education system in Fauquier County, I want to hear some more about the numbers. You mentioned the jobs. What, in terms of growth for the state, is this going to do? Is this more sort of a symbolic, hey, we've got this big company here, we're going to continue to do this, or is this going to be driving a certain amount of growth?
We've been very active. Listen, when I became governor, unemployment was 5.4%. I'm proud under my term we got it all the way down to 3.7%. We're at about 4.1 today. At that time, it was the steepest drop, 32-year drop in a governor's term. We've created 185,100 new jobs, $14.4 billion of new capital. Listen, I travel the globe. I'm probably the most traveled governor in America. I've been to 22 trade missions in 3 years, dozens of countries I've visited. This is why I'm very concerned about the president's new executive order. We are a global economy. 95% of the world's customers live outside of America. That's why I go to places like Kuwait, Oman, UAE, Qatar, all these places to sell goods and to bring companies here to the United States of America and to bring them to Virginia. So our economy is very strong. I sit at a 4.1% unemployment rate. Our initial unemployment claims just hit a 40-year low.
Governor, let's switch the topic to what everybody wants to hear about, which is how our state's going to have to change their policies under the new administration, new immigration restrictions, possibly an end to the current health care regime. How are you dealing with that? Are there opportunities for state governors to work with this administration? What does this mean for you as a steward of your state?
Yeah. Well, let's say, first, I want to work with the new president. I'm also serve as the chairman of the National Governors Association. So we all collectively, we want to work with the president on infrastructure. We want to work with the president as it relates to what we're doing on health care. We cannot just, I speak for, I believe, a vast majority of the governors, you cannot just repeal Obamacare because millions of people will be lost out. Virginia will lose $200 to $400 million in our next budget automatically. We can't, that's a very serious issue for us. We need a replacement. We need to work with the Congress and the new White House to do that. I'm very concerned about the federal hiring freeze. Virginia, with all the military assets we have, with an aging federal workforce, you're not enticing young people to come and work for the federal government with the freeze. But listen, we want to work with the president on infrastructure. We want to build roads and bridges. We want to do that together. All I'm saying, he needs to work with the governors. We are on the front line. We are the chief job creators in our states, and he cannot do like he did with an executive order on immigration. I have already had in Virginia notice of 2 companies that were going to do a site visit to Virginia have now canceled. They just don't want to come to America. They're scared to come to America. We are a land of immigrants, and he's got to reverse that order. It's going to be crippling for national security and crippling for our economy.
So what were those companies? What kind of, were they just sort of a preliminary thing to decide to move back on? What happened there?
They were on site visits, and one was an advanced manufacturing, another was an agriculture company. But listen, this is broad-based. People, I've heard, I'm sure you've heard, people just don't want to come to America. They don't know if they can get in. They don't know if they can get back out. I talked to
people don't want to come to America, Governor?
They're scared. They don't know if they're going to get stuck. I mean, we are a land of immigrants. We value our system. We do vetting. We don't want anyone to come to do harm. But let's be honest. Under President Obama, for 8 years, we had very extensive vetting. There was nobody coming into this country to do harm to our nation. Let's be very clear about that. But what we're sending up a message to people around the globe, America is no longer open and welcoming. That is not the value system that our country was built upon. I think it hurts our national security. I think it put a target on men and women in uniform and Americans who travel abroad. ISIS is using this as a recruitment tool. But I also very concerned about economically. I did $32.5 billion of export trade in Virginia. This is very important to us.
Governor, a lot of people that we talk to on this network, they express enthusiasm. They say it's going to be tax cuts, deregulation, the animal spirits are going to come back. Do you think that there's an element of disingenuousness, that they are afraid of, say, being on the wrong end of a President Trump tweet storm? What do you think underpins that?
Yeah. I wish I had the answer to that question. Listen, my message to President Trump, and in full disclosure, I've known the president for 20 years. I've golfed him. I've had dinner with him. He actually wrote a check to my first campaign for governor. I would tell the president he needs to focus on how to grow our economy. People want jobs. He talked about that at the campaign. But you clearly cannot do that by putting walls up. I mean, he talks about walls. You cannot put a wall up around the United States of America. We are open and welcoming. This is a nation built by immigrants, and we need to continue to foster that value system. That's how I've grown the Virginia economy. We were very defense dependent. Sequestration came. Virginia got hit hard. We have broadened into data analytics, cybersecurity, human genome sequencing. We're bringing people in from all over the globe to help us build that here in Virginia. The president should knock off the tweeting and work with us at the state level to build new businesses, to bring businesses, and to do it in a way that's welcoming, that entices people to come to this great country, and quit picking a fight with Mexico, quit picking a fight with Australia. I mean, these are our allies.
Governor, real quickly, you're sort of in a microcosm there. You have D.C. that benefits from globalization, but yet you've got Virginia that voted red. What did you take away from the election, real quick? What did you learn?
What do I think of what?
What did you learn from the election? What was your takeaway?
Of who?
When you have a country, you have a state that voted red, you're a Democratic governor. What was your takeaway from that?
Listen, the symbolism, I tell you, is the governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia. Listen, in 1607, those 3 ships came from England. They didn't go Massachusetts or New York, Pennsylvania, Ohio. They came right here to Virginia. We are the symbol, the beacon of democracy for this nation. 236 years ago in Yorktown, Virginia, we sent the British out of here. We ended one monarchy. We're not going to bring another one back. I think that we all have a very special role. This is America. We have a booming economy today in Virginia. We're building it. 185,000 new jobs in the last 3 years. We're business friendly. As I say, unemployment claims are now down to a 40-year low. But I got to have a president and a White House that is going to work with us on it. I happen to be a big trade proponent. TPP, those 11 countries that we no longer have an agreement with, let's be very clear. More than 50% of my exports were to those TPP countries. China is now going to be in, writing rules, and we are going to be left out. Give me a fair, level playing field for trade. I can beat anybody. I can bring any business back here to the Commonwealth of Virginia. But give me an opportunity. We can't just sell our products to ourselves. We got to sell in a global economy.